All right.
Cool.
Well, welcome everybody. I'm Paul Fruehan, and we're going to talk about how to make a profit in the handmade business world. A little bit about my background. I have a degree in business administration. I've worked over 40 years in the retail business for two different large retailers, starting at the store level, working my way up, learning the ins and outs of retail, which is very valuable. And I worked at the district level and the regional level. And then about 30 some years ago, my wife Laura and I started a little woodworking business. I've been doing woodworking since I was a little kid, but somebody asked us if we could make something, and it kind of took off from there. We've been doing shows for probably 30 years. We have our own website. We have a couple of wholesale accounts. We participate in about 15 or so local events and artist markets annually. So a couple of things we're going to talk about today is about five different points that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about business goals and planning and how important it is for each of us to have a goal, not just going into a show, but maybe going into the entire season and to plan to achieve that goal. We're going to talk about how to control your costs and the retail business. I'll call it retail, but the show business is all about controlling your costs. And sometimes it's saving a 50 cents here or a dollar there, but the more costs you save, the more money that you make. We're going to talk about gross margin and gross margin dollars. Gross margin is the percent of our product that we sell that turns into a profit, but you don't make the profit until you sell the item. When you sell it, those turn into gross margin dollars, and that's what pays our bills. And one of the most important parts, we're going to talk about preparing for an event and the different things that have to come together for that event to work profitably and in your best interest. And finally, we're going to talk about knowing your competition, becoming friends with your competition, talking to them, finding out what you can from them. So if we start with the plan or the goal, it's important to have a plan. If you don't have a plan, then how do you know how much product that you're going to need for the show, for the season? Um, about other things, part of your plan is shop supplies, bags, business cards, all kind of things that you need for the show. So my wife and I have a list that we check before we leave the house for the show. And in the summertime on that list, outdoor show, you're going to see something like a fly swatter because you get to a show and you got bugs flying around, something simple as that. We need business cards, we need bags, we need wrapping supplies. Uh, Make sure we take all of our display pieces. Sometimes we get to a show and we forgot a shelf. We forgot a sign. If you have a list of all those things, you can check them off and then you know what you need for that show. Planning your products is very important. As you get ready for a show, you need to know you have to have an internal feeling that says, gee, I think I can sell 200 of these items that I make at this show. So you need to make sure that you have 200 ready to take to the show with you. It's important as you look at those plans and goals that you don't plan for today, but you're planning for next year, for the next show. And you should keep a list of historical show information and sales data. When we go to do a show for the second time, I'll talk with Laura and I'll say, okay, so what did we do last year before we even sign up for the show? What did we do last year? How many banks did we sell? How much business did we do? Was it productive? And if we're going to do it again this year, how much do you think we can sell this year? How much do we need to make for it? It's very important if you have all that historical information. We have a simple spreadsheet that we use where we track our sales by month. And again, that's how we get that information from last year. How much did we do last year in June? And what did we do? What events? And what do we have to do this year to exceed last year's? So it's really important to have that historical information so you can plan for your next year and you can see how you're doing to your goals. Something to include in your show notes as you're at a show, you have items that sell out early. Maybe they sell out as soon as you got there, maybe before noon on the first day or a 2 day show and you sold out on the first day. So you want to make some notes of what sold best and what sold out and when it sold out, time-wise. We sold out of this item in the morning of the first day. We sold out later in the day. And then what products are the customers asking for? What kind of variations did the customers ask about? Was it a different size? Was it a different color? Make those notes. It might be something that you add to your sales plan, add to your merchandise plan. Doesn't mean that you do everything that the customers ask you about. I get all kind of crazy things, but some of those have turned into very profitable items for us. And we've grown our business by listening to the customers. But if you don't make those notes, you're sitting around a week or two or a month later and say, "No, what color did that person want? I don't was it blue or black or what size were they looking for or what pattern were they looking for?" If you make those notes at the time or shortly after, then it's better to stay with you and you put those into your historical notes for the show events. So disciplined expense control is really the key to making the most money that you can. If you can control your expenses or lower your expenses, that turns into pure profit for you. It's money that you didn't have to spend on something else, money that you didn't have to give away. Um, some of the things you can do, and the photo there is of one of my lumber piles, is buy in bulk or find quantity discounts on what items you use to make your craft, to make your articles. Um, I go places like Facebook Marketplace and a couple of other markets out there, and I'll find somebody selling a pile of lumber, and I'll go out and buy 6 months worth of supply of lumber, and I'll save a tremendous amount of money on it. Buy tax exempt if possible. Now, I'm not a tax expert. I'm not a legal expert, but I will tell you that the state of Pennsylvania says that you only have to pay tax on an item one time. So if you have a tax number, a tax license, which you should have, they're free from the state, you can use that tax number that you have to purchase items that you're going to resell as part of your artwork or craft. And then the customer pays tax on that at the end of the transaction when you sell it to them. So you don't have to pay tax on the items that you buy to make it. Most retailers have a process for tax exempt sales. Some of them give you a card, like Michael's gives you a card with your information on it. You just show them the card when you go in there. Some of them just take your information. There's a form that you use. I have several blank ones in my car and my wife's car. So if we're out and I want to buy something tax exempt that's going to be from a business, I get the form out of my car if I need it. But you're saving 7%. You're lowering your cost by 7% on all the products that you put in to make your craft. It's a huge savings. I searched the internet for vendors. There are some items that we use. My wife uses a paintbrush, a disposable paintbrush. We use it to put our finish on. We use it to paint other things. And you can buy them. You can buy them at Michael's for about 80, 90 cents a piece. You can buy them at Home Depot or Lowe's. We buy them online for about 30 cents a piece. And we do it with free shipping and we do it tax exempt. So we're paying better than half of what we would have paid. And again, it's a great way to control our costs. And we probably save ourselves $40 or $50 a year just on a paintbrushes. Again, that's more profit that you make in your business. Take advantage of those suppliers that are out there when they have free shipping or special discounts. If I can get out of paying shipping on an item, I'm all in. I don't pay for anything that I don't have to pay for. Talk to your competition. We're going to talk a little bit more about that later, but get out, walk around and meet your competition. You can ask them, hey, I like that. Where did you get the color for that item? Where did you get those kind of shirts? Help me out. Who do you use for a supplier? Most of them will share that information with you. And just remember that everything that goes into making your product is part of the cost. So no matter what you're making, everything that you're buying, whether you're buying adhesive or paint or frames, it's all part of the costs. Now, when you're doing an event, there's all kind of event costs that are out there. And sometimes we don't realize all the extra costs that add up at an event. We were signing up for an event last year and it said, hey, that we're not going to give you tables and chairs this year, but we can get them for you. And chairs were going to be $10 and tables were going to be $25. And we bring our own tables and chairs and save that money. I think the convention center is the same way. If you need an extra chair, if you need an extra table, there's extra expenses there. You can get electricity if you need it. It's one of those, do you need electricity or do you want to have electricity? If you need it, then you got to pay for it. If you want to have it, say, well, do I want to pay $25 for electricity? Things like a corner booth. There's all kind of different fees. You have to ask yourself, is this nice to have or do I need to have it? And if it's a nice to have, maybe you don't want to spend that extra money on it. You should be accepting credit cards, and there are several different processing platforms out there. They all have little different fees. So you want to get one that is the best for you. Things like bags and supplies for wrapping. We use a company called Uline. They have all kind of bags out there and wrapping supplies. When you're looking at bags, do you want a fancy bag with a glossy finish and your name on it, or just want a plain brown bag? The difference might be 30 cents a bag. And if you don't need those fancy bags with your names on them, then we go with the brown bags. You need insurance for your event. We use an insurance agency called ACT, Artists and Craftsmen and Tradesmen, I think it stands for. But you can buy an entire year, or you can buy just a single show. If you're going to do this regularly, I would buy the entire year because it's about worth the price of about 3 single shows. You can pay for the whole year. So you want to look at where you can save money there. There are some promotional fees. Sometimes events will let you be with their promotional fees, and that's an extra cost. Do you want to do that or not? And the other thing that people need to consider in your costs are food and transportation. If you have to drive a long distance, if you have to pay for your parking, if you're going to eat the food at the event, it's a lot more expensive than packing a sandwich with you or some snacks with you. It could be a difference of $40 or $50 a fare or an event. So all different ways to control your costs and help yourself make more money. So let's talk a little about, all right, so how much money am I going to make on an item that I sell? And the first thing to think about is called gross margin. And that's the percentage of an item that you sell that is profit. You can figure that out. It's really not hard to figure out. You start with the selling price of the item. I have an example at the bottom there. So if an item you're selling for $24.95, you subtract all your costs that go into that, all your material costs, all your costs in there. In this side, I said the cost was $6.88. You subtract that, and you have $18.70 profit if you sell that item. I haven't sold it yet, so I didn't make that $18.70. So you take that $18.70 and you divide it by the selling price, and it becomes a percentage. So my gross margin, the percent of profit I make on that item when I sell it is 72%. Now, you've got to figure out what is right for you, what percentage is right for you. But you have to look at all of your expenses, not that go into that item, but that go into the events that you're putting on. Your event fees, all those things we just talked about, and you subtract that from your gross margin, and that's where you start to make some money. So gross margin dollars is what happens when you sell that $24.95 item. When you sell that, now you've made $18.70 to spend on your show expenses, to spend on everything else, to buy more material with. You have to look at yourself and say, if my asking price is too high, I may only sell a couple items. And while I'm making $18.70, if I only sell 3, that's not quite $60. But maybe if I lowered my selling price to $22.95, maybe I could sell 5 or 6 and then make more money on a couple less items in total. But gross margin dollars are what pays the bills. If you look at a Walmart or a Sam's Club or any of the clubs, they sell volume for a little bit less money, but they make more money on what they're doing because they're selling a lot more of it. And that's really the whole secret here is you got to get the cost as low as you can and then increase your sales. So let's talk about getting ready for an event. We talked about the planning part. So now I'm going to get ready for an event that's coming up in a couple of weeks. What do I need to sell to be profitable? I figured out my margin. I know that if I sell an item, I'm going to make $18 and some cents on it. But of that $18, all my costs have to come out of that. my show fees, my transportation, everything else. So how many pieces do I need to sell to break even? Maybe I need to sell 15 pieces at $18 to cover my hundred and some dollar show fee and my transportation and my packaging and everything else. So that's how you start to plan out where is my profit come in. You want to make sure you exceed all of your costs of materials, your costs of all the event, and everything else. And then how much inventory do I need to meet or exceed my sales goal? My sales goal is not to meet my costs. That leaves me with actually I didn't lose any money, but I didn't make any money. So my sales goal needs to be, all right, so I need 18 to make all my costs. To make this worth my while, I need to be able to sell 25 or 30. And then I have to make the product to sell all those. It's really a matter of, all right, I know how much I can make on one item. I know what it's going to cost me. How do I exceed what I'm putting out, what I'm spending on the whole event? Uh, Another way to help yourself at a show is your booth well organized and stocked. You need to make sure that there's a great representation of your stock, not one to show and the rest underneath. Because you may have a customer that wants to buy 5 of them. If they only see one out there, say, well, I need more than that. Now, say 2 or 3, they might say, do you have some more? But you want to make sure that you have quantities out that the customers can buy them in quantities. Uh, Everything clearly priced. I walked a show last week, 2 weeks ago, and I was surprised at how many people didn't have any prices at all on the items. And well, that's $7. Well, that's $6. Well, it's great, but I want to know without asking you what the prices are. So I'll make sure that they're clearly priced. Um, and you have to have a story. You have to have a story to tell about your product. If you walk by my booth and you stop for more than a couple of seconds, I'm going to approach you and I'm going to tell them that these are antique post office doors. They're between 50 and 130 years old. They work. We've got all cleaned up. The combinations work. We make the boxes from salvaged wood. And then I invite them to hold them in their hand, open them up if they want. But you have to have that 15, 20-second story. You're going to say it 100 times, maybe more on every single day. Because if you have a product that people don't know what they are, or they don't know what you made or why you made it, and maybe you're selling T-shirts with sayings on it. You say, these are my all original sayings. I used it from stories my grandmother told me. But you've got to have a reason to compel the customer to buy your product. Sometimes you have to explain the product to them. So you need to have that story ready, or that elevator pitch, as we used to call it in the interviewing times. Uh, and the next most important thing is you need to know when to stop talking. Uh, Tell your story and then stop talking and listen. Listen to the customer. See what their comments are. Let them contemplate what they have in front of them, and if they want to make a purchase. Sometimes I'll walk by a booth and I'll see the vendor, and all they do is talk, 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 and the customer's head is spinning, and the customer wants to feel it and touch it and come up with those questions on their own. So you have to really important to know when to stop talking. And this is a pet peeve of mine is you need to ask open-ended questions of the customer. So you have a customer in front of you looking at your product, and you say, you have any questions? No, I don't have any questions. That's a closed-end question. It gives them a choice of an answer of yes or no. But if you say to them, what questions do you have? That prompts them to ask you a question. What questions can I answer for you? That prompts them to ask you a question. It says that you genuinely want to answer their questions and make them feel comfortable. A lot of people just won't ask questions, particularly if you say, you got any questions? No, I don't. But if you prompt them with that, what questions can I answer for you? How can I help you? That it invites them, it tells them that you want to be there to help them with the questions. It's really important that you provide that information to the customers. And you also want to make sure that most of your customers or most of your lookers leave with information about you, your contact information, your website, your future dates, your future show dates. Make sure that they have something in their hand as they walk away. Even those folks that are just passing by briefly, I'll hand them out my show schedule. Well, here's our show schedule for the next 6 months. Okay, great. Well, here's our website. Look us up on our website. walk away. Don't let them ask for it. They can ask for a business card or whatever, but don't let them ask for it. Hand it to them, even if they want it or not. The more you get out there, the more people are going to go to your website, the more people are going to come and see you again. So preparation for the events is very important. And the last thing about the event is provide solutions to the customer's objections. I taught Carnegie sales training for years, and we always talked about provide solutions to overcome the customer's objections. We'll be at an event and somebody says, I don't want to, I'd buy it, but I don't want to carry it around all day. I got a solution. Great. Give me your name. We'll put it in the bag here. You pay for it now and you can pick it up. We'll be here till 5 o'clock tonight. I'm in from out of town. I don't want to take it on a plane with me. Not a problem. For $5, we'll ship it anywhere in the United States for you. So I've got a solution to most of your objections. We had people looking at our banks, a couple looking at our banks about 3 weeks ago. And the woman said, well, I'm looking for a special number. I said, not a problem. We can put a special number on there for you. And for $5, we'll ship it to you with a special number on it. And she said, well, I don't live too far from you. Well, so you can pick it up for free. And her friend says, well, could you number my box too? Sure. So the next day they stopped by the house. We sold 2 banks that we probably wouldn't have sold with special numbers on. So think about objections that customers put up there and figure out how you can overcome those objections. Maybe it's a size, maybe it's a color, maybe it's a different pattern. But if you can overcome those objections, you'll increase your sales and then make more money. So knowing your competition is extremely important. The first thing I do when I'm at a show and when I have time is I'll walk the show floor before the show starts, and I'll see who's there, and I'll shake some hands and hey, how you been? I haven't seen you in a while. We talk about all kinds of different things as I walk the floor and talk to the folks. I'm also looking at my competition and seeing what their quality is and what their prices are. And I'm saying to myself, okay, are there some things that they have that look nicer than mine? Are there some things that they have that are priced better than mine or lower than mine? I want to know as I'm talking to the customers, not to badmouth anybody out there, but they say, well, I saw that product over in the other aisle, or a similar item. I said, well, that's true. And I saw it too, and it looked very nice. I said, now let me tell you the difference between the two of them. And you just point out the features and benefits of your item versus their item. And let them make the choice. But that way you know who's out there selling something similar to you. Introduce yourself to your competitors. I don't have a competitor out there that I have bad words about. You know, we'll admire each other's work. We'll talk about how we finish our items. We'll talk about sometimes where we get our supplies from. We talk about upcoming shows and past shows. We've been referred to a lot of good shows from some other competitors or the other artists that we've met. We've referred artists that we've met to other shows out there. It works both ways. And we found great ways to source some of our materials from some of the folks that are out there. We also look at, I look at online events, Facebook Marketplace, Etsy, Pinterest. I have an Etsy store I'll check every day. And I always look at who else is selling banks on our Etsy stores. And I look at what are the prices? What do they charge to ship? I don't charge anything to ship. What's the quality of what's out there? And I make sure that my online pricing is competitive with what other people are selling out there. So knowing your competition is extremely important. So we're gonna touch base on those 5 items now, and just review the 5 items that we had out there. But before we do that, I want to tell you about a news article I read about 2 weeks ago. Being involved in the retail business, I get a lot of retail news feeds every day, and I look through those for some stores that I know the name of. And there was a local, not a local company, but a company that has stores locally that had an earnings statement that came out for the first quarter. And it was an excerpt of the conversation that the CEO was having with the investors. It's called an investor call that big companies have with their investors. And he said, well, we had a great first quarter. He said we had strong results, and that they were driven by solid top line results. So top line is your sales on a profit and loss statement. So they had very good sales. Their sales were up. Well, we talked about that a little earlier. We want to get our sales up. He said, we had some very good unit growth. So unit growth, retailers track how many pieces do they sell to each customer. And they sold more pieces to the customers that were in their store. So the customers that came in bought an extra item, they bought an extra two items, it's more units. He said we had robust margins. So we talked about profit margins a little bit ago, and robust margins, that would have meant his margins were up. So now I'm selling more items. My sales are up, my margin's up. So guess what? I'm making more money because that's what it's all about. And he said, we had disciplined expense control. So he's talking about all those controls that don't support making the merchandise. We were very disciplined on what we spent money on that helped drive our business. So our expenses were down, our sales were up, the money we made on those sales was up. So they had a great quarter. So again, that business goals and planning, it's so important to have some goals out there and a plan on how you're going to achieve those goals. I have a whiteboard in our work area, and we list all of our events on there, and we list how much merchandise for each event we need to have made before the event starts, so I can plan what am I working on ahead. I'm generally working 6, 8, 10 weeks ahead. Uh, Control your costs. It's all about controlling your costs. If you can save that 30 cents on a paintbrush and you're buying 50 of those a year, that's a lot of money. If you can save that shipping, if you can save that sales tax, that's 7%. All those quarters and dimes and dollars add up, particularly when you're selling hundreds of items. Gross margin versus gross margin dollars. It's important to know what your gross margin is on an item. How much money do I make if I sell this item? And then when you sell it, okay, great. So I sold all these items. So how much money do I have now to invest in buying more merchandise? Do I invest in buying more tools or equipment or anything else? And evaluating the events. It's so important to make sure that you've got the right setup at the event, that everything is priced, that you've got that pitch to talk to the customers briefly, and that you're stopping talking and listening to the customers. And certainly knowing your competition. I learn a lot from my competition. I've done that for 30 some years in the retail business. I always shop the competition and see what's going on over there. It makes me a better person. So that's in a nutshell, how to make money in the show business, and it's all about those 50 cents, those dollars, those $2, but they all add up. At this time, what questions do you have? Petra should be there somewhere.
Hey, I'm here. I'm just waiting for people to chime in with their questions. But first of all, I just want to say thank you so much, Paul. This was really informative. I'm selling at a small market this weekend, and I will ask some of the questions that you've suggested. Some of these things you choose to do naturally. Like, I know that I don't want to talk anyone's ear off about my product, and I have come up with my 30-second little speech about my product.
Good.
But your tips about networking and, you know, treating learning about your competition as networking, that's fantastic. I just want to let folks know that I dropped two links into the chat. One is the ACT event insurance that Paul brought up. So you can click on that link and learn more about their plans and find one that works for you. And then there's also a link for Pennsylvania's tax portal, where you can sign up for those things that Paul was talking about. So you're not paying taxes twice on a product. Okay. So yeah, let's open the floor for questions. Please use this time. Paul is here for you. Hi, Judy.
Hi. So, Paul, that's a good point. Brian well, not Brian, but I always say, do you have any
Right.
questions?
Hi, Paul.
Right.
And I always thought that was a good line. Like I would tell them, that we make this in our home and we're a partnership and, we do blah, blah, blah. Do you have any questions? And now I will say, what questions do you have? That was really good. I never thought about that because they usually say no. And
And it does. It prompts them. It says to them, wow, you really want to know what I want as a customer.
mhm.
Now that you said that, yeah, let me ask you, how about, can you make it in a different color? Do you have a different? Yeah, absolutely.
That's a really good suggestion. Thank you. Nobody else? No questions?
Interesting. I was at a show down at Market Square a couple of summers ago, and there's this young lady next to me, and she's selling spices that she has made in her home country in Africa somewhere, and she was doing all the right things. Um, just you could have run a video on her, and it was the Dale Carnegie selling process, overcoming the objections and asking what questions you have. The only thing she didn't do was she didn't put the product in the customer's hand. I said, so I said, at the end of the night, I was telling her what a great job she did. And I said, if I can make just one suggestion, I said, when customers are looking at it, an item, and they're talking about it, take it and hand it to them and put it in their hand and let them hold it. So I saw her about 2 or 3 months later. I was walking a show and she was there, and she said, you won't believe what happened to my sales. She said, I'm selling like 10 or 20% more by putting that into customers' hands. So it's interesting, and I do that all the time. And people say, well, I don't want to hold it. I'll end up buying it. I said, well, that's why I want you to hold it. But we have a lot of people that stop by our booth that have no intention of buying anything, and they spend $100. So there's all kind of these little sales techniques which helps the customer make the right decision.
All right. This is the last call. Last call for questions or you can also comment on something that you liked and would like to hear more about. I imagine that Paul has lots of stories after 4 decades in the fields.
So let me share one more cost saving tip that I picked up on about 2 years ago. We ship about 20% of our sales every year, all over the United States, and I shipped for years priority mail, and priority mail changed. They used to have some regional rate boxes, and they changed, and it was all the same now, so you had to pay by the pound. And then I noticed about 2 years ago that they had a rate, and it's not called priority mail. It escapes me now, but it's right on there with the same rate of priority mail. And now I ship with that parcel select, it's called parcel select, and it costs me about $1 to $2, $3 less per package to send it to the same location, and it gets there the same day as a priority mailbox does. It's crazy. Now, if you're selling it to California, it probably takes you 1 day longer, but most of them are the exact same time as priority mail. I don't understand. I don't want to understand, but I know that I probably saved $500 or $600 just on postage last year with Parcel Select.
From just the post office, from UPSP?
Yeah, USPS.
USPS, I said that wrong. Yeah, we have a problem with shipping just because our stuff is heavy and we never know how to do it. Like, I don't know the best way to ship. I mean, I usually tell people they have to pay for shipping and handling, and then I give them the price after I leave the post office.
Right. What process are you using to ship it? I mean,
Um,
are you using priority mail or Parcel Select, or what are you using?
I usually just take a box that we have and I pack it up and I send it, I don't know, whatever's the cheapest
All
with
right.
a little bit of insurance.
You go to the post office and say, I want to send this.
Hmm.
What's the cheapest? Okay. So you should have a business account with the post office.
Oh,
They're free.
I don't know this. Okay.
You can sign up for them. They're free. You get a business account and you get special business rates. And then you weigh the package. You put it in whatever box you have. You weigh the package, and then you go into the form and you put who am I sending it to? Mary Smith and in Arkansas. What's it weigh? How big is the package, dimension wise? and then you get 3 or 4 different rates on what it's going to cost you to send it there. And
So
one
I
of
just,
those is priority.
oh,
One is parcel select.
okay, so you just, oh,
You do all that, and you print the label out on your computer, and you stick it on the box.
oh,
You can
okay.
you can put you can have somebody sign for it. There's about 5 or 6 options. You can have somebody sign for it when it's picked up. You can have it sent to a holding box at the post office for the person, um, and it's all got a tracking number so you can track it. But you get better rates, and you can have the postman pick it up at your house if you want. You don't have to take it
Huh.
to the post office. They'll come the next day and pick it up.
Okay, so I just go to the post office and ask for,
You go
to,
online,
oh, you do it online.
yep,
Okay, I'm so old.
USPS.com, uh,
Okay.
and it's great. And then when you walk to the post office, you take it to yourself to the post office. When you walk in the lobby, there's usually a bin there.
Yeah, that's what, yeah,
Right. And I walk by this line of people, they give me these dirty looks, and I drop it in the bin, and I turn around and leave.
got it.
So yeah, you want a U.S. Post Office shipping account. They're they're,
Okay,
they're free. They're easy to set up, um, and you'll save a bunch of money on shipping.
thank you. I didn't know about that. Thank you. Oh, there's a
Yeah,
link.
I just dropped the link for that in the chat. It's USPS registration, it seems like. And then you can create your USPS.com business account. I'm literally
Oh,
doing it right now.
yeah.
Wow.
Thank you, Petra.
Yeah, of course, of
Yeah, I
course.
just pulled it up too. That's awesome.
Nice to have
Yeah.
a link person on a call with us.
I didn't know about that. That's because I never know how to ship, and our stuff is so fragile that I worry that it's going to break and that it
Right,
won't, you know.
right.
Thank you. Cool.
Okay. Um, Well, I wanted to say thank you so much, Paul. Thank you, Judy. Thank you, NR and Laughing Flower, who are the other folks in the chat, for attending Paul's session. Thank you, Judy, for asking questions and just helping us reflect on what we learned from Paul today. I just want to plug Handmade Arcade before we close out. So Handmade Arcade is the organization that made today's crafted conversation possible. We host the largest makers market in Pittsburgh. We have about 10,000 shoppers, and we do 3 markets a year. We have an emerging craft market, one of which is coming up this August, August 29th at the Energy Innovation Center. We have our holiday market, December 4th to 6th, which is at the David Lawrence Convention Center downtown. And then we also have our modern craft markets. Our last one happened in March, and the next one is coming up in spring. So stay tuned to learn more about that. And we have these Practical Conversation series, which is bi-monthly, first Wednesday of every month. The idea being that we have all these amazing makers in Handmade Arcade's ecosystem within our community. And like Paul, they have so many stories, so many tips and tricks of the trade. So stay tuned for our next one, which is coming up with Kolika from Canch by Kolika. She's a beautiful glass artist, and she'll be presenting, I believe, yeah, September 2nd, I believe, next month, or not next month, in September. So stay tuned for that. Look out on our page. And yeah, be in touch if you need anything. My email address is petra@handmadearcade.com, or sorry, .org. So if you have follow-up questions about the presentation, I'm happy to share those. And Paul's website, which is really cool, is Wouldn't You Like It? Let me drop that in the chat. Um, Wouldn't You Like It? Here we go. Paul, how did you come up with that name?
That was a Friday night, somewhere at the start of the second bottle of wine.
Okay.
Creative. There's a creative spot between the first and second bottle where not only the wine juices but the thought juices flow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's when you feel free, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
cool. All right, so yeah, I just dropped that in the chat if you want to see more of Paul's really, really cool work. All right, so that's it for us tonight. Stay cool, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Take
Okay,
care.
thanks so much.